Hey Bernie, Tim Handren, your mayor here. Today is Wednesday, October 28th. Just going to give you an update from last night's city council meeting. We covered a lot of topics. This might be a little bit long, but I think every one of these topics is really important. We had a city council workshop yesterday talking about this unified development code that we've been working on for 2 years. Kind of coming to the end of the road on this one, which is a great thing. And we've made lots and lots of changes to all the development requirements for building in Boerne over the future, and lots of great changes related to conservation, frankly. Cleaning that up. We will be having a public hearing on that at the Planning and Zoning Commission on November the 2nd, and there will be a public hearing on the UDC at City Council on November 20th. Both those are in the evening at 6 p.m. One interesting thing, we had a speaker at our workshop last night during public comments, Milan Michalik. He is on the Cow Creek Groundwater Conservation District. And he really expressed a lot of kudos to what he has read in there, because there was so much oriented toward conservation. It's the first time he's seen that in his entire time that he's lived in Boerne. Again, I think there's great things that are happening in this UDC. At our regular meeting that started at 6 o'clock, I want to actually call out, we had a local citizen stand up and speak during public comments. His name is Kevin Belter, and he's a master arborist here in the Boerne area. And he expressed concern about what he sees with the situation with trees. That's his specialty. He's not against development. He made that very clear. He's against development that's not conscientious of the environment. And he gave us some interesting feedback and perspective last night. What I really liked about what Kevin had to say, he's a really impressive young man, but he brought not only a concern, but he brought solutions to the table. And he said, here's what I suggest that we do. And he did it in a manner that was very, very professional. And I just want to say thank you to Kevin for what you had to say last night. We did talk about we have in Kendall County, we have the Boerne-Kendall County Economic Development Corporation. And they presented to us, the city, their 5-year economic development plan for Kendall County. We are a participant as a city with everything that goes on with the Economic Development Corporation. And what they gave us last night was a summary. This is a little over 40-page document, and Kathy Estes, the chair of the board of the Economic Development Corporation, gave a discussion about all things in this plan. What I really liked about this plan is it's still focused on keeping the hill country charm around us and not growing at a rate that's just to grow. A lot of people hear economic development and they say, oh, we're just trying to grow just to grow. And the answer is no, that's not the case. And there's a very focused plan on bringing the right kind of jobs to this area that help provide great incomes for this community. And it's not just growing for growth's sake, it's growing in a responsible way while still maintaining the hill country charm. This is going to be on the website for the Kendall County Boerne Economic Development Corporation. So if you want to go check it out, I think you'll be impressed with what they have as core values and what their targets of opportunities are. We had a serious conversation last night and adoption of an agreement for what's called the Water Control and Improvement District Number 4. This is an area on 46, just east of Boerne. And there's about just over 1,100 acres that was acquired by the Lookout Group. And they have approval from Kendall County to develop that. There's been a lot of changes over the last 4 years, but more importantly, they came to the city of Boerne and asked if we were going to provide water 4 years ago, at which time we said no. They came 2 months ago and said Kendall West Utility has agreed to provide them water. Do we want to go ahead and opt out of providing them water? We took a little different perspective on this. The original plan had about 3 houses per acre. And that was part of why the city said no 4 years ago, is that was highly dense development and it was going to tax our water system. The present plan has less than 1 house per acre. It's much lower density. And it's part of this extended ETJ where people volunteered to be part of the Boerne. They actually asked to be part of the Boerne ETJ. And this created a what's called the Boerne Wall, in case you've never heard of that. And it's a way to prevent San Antonio from growing around us. This development is right in the middle of all that. And if Kendall West had provided the water to them, it was going to come from the very same places that we get our water from, which is basically Canyon Lake. That's the GBRA system. After we thought about it and looked at it, the developer is going to pay for the infrastructure that gets the water there. They would have paid for it if they had gotten Kendall West to do it, or if they got Boerne to do it. So really at no cost to the city for the parts that they need for their development, they got into a development agreement with the city where we got to put in place some stronger measures and concerns about conservation, dark skies, low impact development, and other things that are in this agreement. Again, we talked about it at length at City Council last night. It was adopted to do this water agreement with WCID number 4. And I think it's a good thing in terms of managing the growth that's going on, even outside of our ETJ, outside of our jurisdiction, frankly. So that was something that was approved last night, and it's important to understand where the water is going and where it's coming from. If we hadn't done it, Kendall West Utilities was going to do it. And so I think what we've done is put in place some good practices to protect our community. I actually wanted to have a conversation about Dickens on Main again. 2 weeks ago, we heard a revised game plan for how can we do Dickens in a manner that would be not the same as it had been in the past. Can we do it in a way that would be safe? I was concerned about it. I've been thinking about this, trying to find a balance between, do we keep doing the things we've always done in the middle of a pandemic when across the globe the pandemic numbers are getting larger, and how do I balance the decision of moving forward and looking at the economic and the social impact versus the health and safety and well-being of not only the people that are in our community, but the staff of the city who has to manage this event. Can we do something in a manner that makes sense? This is very different than the Rod Run or Market Days. Market Days doesn't have huge crowds. Rod Run was very spread out, no one area that brought a lot of focus. It was more of a, there was a few hundred people that came in over the course of an entire day. Dickens on Main brings thousands and thousands of people. And candidly, in the area around San Antonio and South Texas, almost every single event for Christmas has been canceled. That's concerning to me because that means everybody's going to come here because this would be the only event. We had a discussion on council last night. Everybody expressed their views. Ultimately, the decision on this falls on my shoulders. But actually, when I look at what's going on Dickens on Main, it's not canceling anything. It's not canceling Christmas. It's not canceling the retailers. We had it really narrowed down to just 4 events that we might have done on the street and called that Dickens on Main. And if we just don't do those 4 events, does that mean we've canceled anything? A lot of discussion about personal responsibility last night. A lot of discussion about if you're uncomfortable, you just don't need to go stroll down on Main Street. But here's what I would say. I think that we're going to make a decision here in the next couple of days that says, should we move forward and advertise that we have this thing called Dickens on Main in the city of Boerne, when it would be the only event in South Texas that's being advertised, and bring everybody from all the outlying areas. That's the decision that we have to make. We'll be making that decision, like I said, in the next couple of days. You'll hear more about that. But just remember that if we do anything, it's not canceling anything other than 4 activities that we were going to have at Dickens. The shops are still open, and we need to continue to support our local retailers. There'll probably be music piped in the downtown area. We still have good food with all of our local providers. I think we just got to recognize that we just don't need to advertise a big event that's sponsored by the city. That's where I'm leaning right now. Again, we'll make that announcement more directly in the next couple of days. That was a lot to cover. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.